93.7. For more of this, we're joined by Tommy Curran of NBC Sports Boston. He's brought to you by Drains by James. At Drains by James, they give a poop about your pipes. Tommy Curran, how are we doing this week?
Good afternoon.
Top of the morning to you there, Tommy Curran. Let me ask you, what were your takeaways from OTAs, the way that the quarterback reps were divvied up between Jacoby Brissett, Drake Maye, and for some reason, Bailey Zappi? What'd you make of that?
Well, I understand that what they did. I mean, the logic behind it, given that, okay, it's the first time you're on the field, you want to get reps for the entire franchise, everybody on the field, offense, defense. So don't put too much on Drake Maye's plate right now. Let the guy out there who actually has been in the offense, who has been a starter for this team, who actually has, by pecking order and veteran status, experience in the NFL. So I get the logic behind it for the first OTA on May 20th. Didn't find it nearly as offensive as other people did. Phil thought, what are we doing? But so I get the logic, but it's very clear that one of those guys is not like the others when it comes to Bailey Zappi.
Tom, when we look at the expectations for Jacoby Brissett, I mean, I think a lot of us are mainly looking at how many games is he going to play before you throw Drake Maye in there. But what do you see and what are you hearing about what his role is in getting Drake Maye up to speed as an NFL quarterback?
Yeah, it's a great question, and something we had Brian Hoyer on our podcast today, and he was excellent on it. It's basically Jacoby Brissett's marching orders are come in and be our starting quarterback in 2024. If over the course of time there are methods and ways that you can directly help Drake Maye, then go ahead and do that. But generally, Drake Maye's job is to observe you, sponge up as much of the offense and the philosophy and being an NFL player as you can. And when questions arise that are necessary to be asked of Jacoby Brissett, Jacoby will answer them. I think one thing that was interesting is there's a perception, while we understand that there's two parallel roads here, succeeding in 2024 for the New England Patriots and developing Drake Maye so that the Patriots in 25, 26, 27, 28 are once again a competitive playoff level team. You have to chase both. But in order for Drake Maye to become that, he has to figure out how do you operate in the locker room? How do you operate in an NFL with guys who are 10, 15 years older than you? How do you assimilate into the offense? How do you behave on the field? And it was interesting to hear Hoyer say, look, when I was learning from Tom Brady, it's observation. You don't stand there and say, well, what are you going to do here? What are you going to do there? You need to soak as much of it up as you can, and don't ask questions that you already know the answer to them. It's not high school. It's not college. You don't have to impress anybody by seeming to be engaged. When your time comes, it's really just relationship stuff that we all understand when we're in any business, I think, and starting out. Don't be a pain in the ass. Don't be a gnat.
Well, so, Tom, in that vein then, Mac Jones at first, his teammates really liked him, and it seemed like he had respect in the locker room and he had a good presence in the locker room, and eventually that sort of disappeared. What mistakes did he make that you would hope Drake Maye doesn't make?
Yeah, I think they still like him. I don't think that there's really very many guys who don't like Mac Jones, the person. The mistake that he made was when he felt that he knew more than the coaching staff, and I think he quite literally probably did in some capacities, especially the offensive coaching staff, on how they should approach things, the why of things philosophically. And you can listen to the podcast, and Hoyer does an excellent job explaining why, when they were pivoting that offense in 2022 and trying to do more of the things that Alex Van Pelt will be asking them to do this year, there were guys like Hoyer or Kendrick Bourne or people who played in that system who understood better than Matt Patricia and Joe Judge what they were trying to do. So once Mac got that pushback and would push or gave pushback and reacted negatively and then started to be demonstrative in it, I think he probably started to lose some support of the people on the sidelines. And then once you start playing poorly, you can still like somebody, but you can say he's just not good enough to be a dink to the coaches. It's not working. So I think that's where you lose it. We can all agree he was not in the best situation for his skill set. And eventually he didn't react well to it. But I don't think he ever lost the locker room in terms of, oh, I can't stand that guy.
We're talking about the situation around Mac Jones, but the situation around Drake Maye, if and when he gets out there, is interesting too. Is there still time to, go out and get a receiver, a piece on the offensive line? Is that a realistic thing to expect for the Patriots to add? And would that change the calculus about getting Drake Maye onto the field?
I don't think it would change Drake Maye. He is kind of an island unto himself. How does he develop, and when is he ready for unveiling? So if, say, you go and get some receiver who, for lack of a better example, and he's not coming here because of his contract now, say A.J. Brown washed ashore. Would that speed Drake Maye's development up? I can't imagine how one would impact the other. It might make the Patriots more successful in 2024, but if Maye isn't able to identify coverages, throw with accuracy, if his footwork hasn't developed, then you're not going to put him on the field. But bully for Jacoby Brissett because things are going to look better. At the end of every June, teams do tend to take a look at, all right, where are we? What do we need? We just finished our OTAs and mini camps. Where are we lacking? Where do we need more competition? I've discussed with you guys before. That's why Cam Newton was brought aboard at the end of June in 2020 as opposed to in March. The Patriots said, he's still sitting there. He's good. What do we play for? They brought him in. They made their room better. But I think when you look at the wide receiver room as a whole, there's KJ Osborne, Kendrick Bourne, Demario Douglas. I'm going to miss some. Polk, Baker, Tyquan Thornton, and Kayshon Boutte. I'm not even convinced that Boutte and Thornton cannot play beyond the shadow of a doubt. I've seen Thornton have good practices. I've seen him throttle down and run at different speeds. He's just been hurt all the time. Same thing with Boutte. I don't understand why he wasn't able to be on the field last year because in training camp, he was good. We don't know what any of those guys are. So if you're going to seek to add competition at those positions, especially wide receiver, you have to know that, well, this guy is definitely better than these 7 guys we have here. So don't bring in a Philip Dorsett type or a Chris Hogan type. If you can go and bring somebody else into the room who might accelerate the entire group or be an elite player as opposed to a bunch of C to B type players, then go do it. But otherwise, it's just adding another log in the fire.
Tom, a couple minutes ago, you mentioned the offense that you think Alex Van Pelt wants to install, and it sounded like you were saying there may be some similar zone running schemes that Bill Belichick had wanted to install a couple seasons back. What do you think this offense is going to look like?
That's what's interesting about what they're trying to do with the offensive line. Do they have the personnel? It's basically the same thing that we've seen from Denver and San Francisco over the years. It's going to be, wide zone runs. So you're going to get flow going. It's zone blocking scheme. So you're going to just think Terrell Davis. And if you want to think back to the Broncos when we first saw Mike Shanahan succeeding with it, you're going to run wide zone stuff. And Hoyer does a fantastic job explaining it. Say you're running to the right. All the linemen are pushing to the right as fast as they can. Do they have the personnel to have all their linemen on a horse and getting to the edge at this point? We don't know that, but that's the idea. And then the back runs, can I get the edge? No. Okay. Can I get the C gap in between the end and the tackle? No. Okay. B. Okay, A, do I cut it up right here? Is this where the seam is? And then you run. And then what will happen off of that is when you call for a throw, you're going to fake, boot backwards, throw on the run to crossers who are at different depths. It's not, as Hoyer explained, it's not the same kind of offense that basically you're at the line of scrimmage, you're identifying the mic, and you're doing a lot of reading. You're more allowing the offense to be kind of by numbers. This is what you do in this situation. Whether that's good or not, we'll see. But that's what Belichick and Patricia, their heart was in the right place. Let's make it an easier offense to use for everybody. They just didn't have the humans on board to do it. I think Hoyer described it as hiring someone to teach Spanish if all they've watched is Spanish television shows, and then trying to explain how to learn Spanish from that.
Tom, before we let you go, I know
like
the Patriots always have a presence, I feel like, at Celtics playoff games. Was the entire team there for game one? I felt like every time they cut to the bench there, they'd scroll over. You see Drake Maye, Juju Smith-Schuster was there. I thought Keon White, someone said, was there. Am I crazy, or was the whole team at that game?
I don't know. I didn't notice. I mean, I saw Drake Maye there, obviously, and I saw a few Patriots, but they've done a good job of being out there and taking advantage of the opportunity to call, "Could I have tickets?" So God bless them.
Did Mac, in fairness, because I'm like, ooh, I like Drake Maye doing this. Mac did a lot of that too, right?
Yeah, Mac's done that. I think Bentley's always been there. Kyle Van Noy used to be there a lot. But yeah, it'll be interesting to. I mean, it's a different era, I think, in terms of the intermingling of sports and celebrities in town, where there's more crossover than there was before. It's a smaller community of professional athletes where there is much more crossover. And I think it's great. I mean, I guess it really began, the Patriots and Red Sox would have some of it despite the ownership difficulties between the two. The players themselves would enjoy each other. So now the Celtics have risen. Who do you guys think? I'm going to veer here.
Yeah,
just
veer.
real quick,
Veer.
NBA-wise. Who's got the best duo?
Oh.
In the playoffs left, you mean? Or in general?
You mean in general?
No. In the playoffs remaining, because I really think the best duo is Doncic and Irving.
Ooh,
and then it's Tatum and Brown, and then Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns are like 207 yards behind.
Put me down for Halliburton and Siakam. That's my favorite duo. No, I would say the Celtics by like a hair over Dallas, but that's a good duo that Dallas has. There's no doubt about that.
I give Doncic best player level. That's why it's the tiebreaker.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Would I rather have Tatum or Doncic? Probably Doncic. That's fair.
Doncic is just painful to watch. I didn't even know until he had that defensive play on Rudy last night that he could move like that.
Yeah, people say he plays defense. Now that was a nice play, but I still want to watch that a little bit closer. But Tommy Curran, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
All right, kids. Bye.
All right, Tommy Curran joining us here on Jones and Mego with Arcan on WEEI.